morning, and welcome to Coffee and Convo Live with RE and Chosen. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Grand Rising. Salutations, everybody.
All right. Okay, well, if you missed last week's show, what was last week's show?
I was about to ask you the same thing because the holidays kind of got me all miscombobulated and everything. So
You
I'm
and
sitting
I,
there like
useless pursuits.
And that was a useless pursuit for me to not remember what we talked about. And that I should have remembered that because we actually was talking about people going Christmas shopping and making sure you didn't have no useless pursuits. But that's not really what the show was about. Like, it was about useless pursuits, but it wasn't about you going to your busy sidewalks, city sidewalks, dressed in holiday style and going home with your treasures. That's not what it was about. It was about different things that you pursue that just not, like Frederick put it, like the way Frederick put it, things that'll harm you in the end.
In the long
Going after things that's gonna harm you in the long run, which is a very, very, very good, interesting show. And there was a lot of gems dropped. There was so many gems dropped. You should have put them in the Cave of Wonders along with the dang on lamp. So yeah, but if y'all missed last week, that's exactly what we talked about, useless pursuits. Very good show.
And that came, as you said, it came about because of the holidays. We were initially discussing people stretching their dollar to get presents,
to buy
and not
stuff.
skipping on bills and getting things that there's no need for.
Hey,
in the long run, you're still paying on it. That's what that's how that topic.
That's how it came about, but it
that's
wasn't
not what
entirely about
that.
We didn't really discuss that, and we didn't really spend a lot of time discussing that because and if you watch us,
how we do things,
man, we try to come from three different fronts, but we come from all fronts, but we acknowledge the fact that to always remind y'all that it's more of a spiritual thing, it's spiritual warfare, and basically we're trying to give you the weapons that you need to fight that fight.
All right, to elevate to the next level. Okay, so this Sunday, we are discussing family ties. And family ties came about because of the holidays. This is the time where we mostly get together with our long lost relatives.
It's gonna be funny.
And so family ties came about basically trying to discuss how do we deal with family that we don't get along with, family we haven't seen in forever and ever day. However, as Chosen said, our shows are about wisdom, spiritual warfare of things. And I know, our special guest, FD Sparkman, is going to have a whole lot of information to provide us about family ties.
Yes, indeed.
But with that, since this is going to be a very, I don't want to say really touchy, I'm going to say, how do you want to say it? I want to say a universal thing because, as we stated, as we were coming up with this topic, that a lot of us out here have dysfunctional
I'd say that we might step on a few toes.
We might step on a few toes, and I tried to say that we're going to do that in a number of videos, in a number of episodes. Our point is not to step on toes, but to get to the truth and the meat of things, it's going to happen. Okay. So with today's show,
hold on, before we go forward, I just want to acknowledge Cass in the room. Thanks for tuning in this morning, bro. Good to see you in here. It's a new face. Eduardo is somebody I work with at the airport. Of course, I love the holiday season too.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you again for joining. All right. So family ties, I think we decided to go with multiple bloodlines under one roof.
I thought that
FD. I'm sorry, what you say?
I said I thought that's where we were starting, but as always, it'll go where it wants to go. But the main thing that I wanted to emphasize on is one of the main things that people don't consider what is it about my brother or my sister? Well, we just don't get along. We just can't click, because you're looking at those other families, whereas they have the same mother and father. And so they have the same bloodline. So they're going to be more of one unit than maybe, say, if you got 2 or 3 children with different daddies under the same roof, then you have a clash of personalities and a clash of bloodline, one trying to be dominant over the other.
I was just about to
because
ask
you can't really call yourself a cohesive family, because when
technical difficulties. Okay, so what I was bringing up with the multiple bloodlines under one roof is exactly what you're saying, FD, that having different bloodlines can contribute to the clash of personalities. However, you can still clash with the personalities and be in the same bloodline. And we just lost FD.
It's all good. Yes, he will be back. He will be back.
Yeah, I'm hoping that he will be able to make it back in.
Yeah, because you know how it usually is whenever it's about to get ready to get real.
Yeah, it's about to get real good, and we end up losing him.
But you know, to say what he was saying, you know, when you have them different bloodlines and different personalities and all of that clash, it definitely makes for a lot of friction. I mean, you just think about what you learn in school. You know, when you mix certain chemicals together, you just finna get a whole mess. Everybody ain't on one accord. Somebody had a different upbringing. They got a different way of doing things, and you know, they have a different way of doing things. And then, you know, a lot of times with like our families, you know, a lot of things we deal with some of the stuff that was taboo, some of the secrets, and you know, you get a whole lot of that different thing when you get in there with the children.
One thing.
Go ahead.
That's one thing.
What's that?
You mentioned the secrets and everything. I think that's one thing yeah, man, the things that get hidden way back, and nobody want to discuss, but you're living life and trying to figure out why your life could be all screwed up and you're having all these issues because there are things that went on that no one decided to share. And yeah, they didn't want to tell you they didn't want to bring it up because they felt like it was back in the past, you know, it's irrelevant now, and don't realize that it's causing issues in your life today. You know, that stuff is real. It comes up and it contributes to the way we do things in our life, our decisions that we make. The like we say, it's about spiritual warfare. And if you didn't face what happened back when, it's going to continue to come up today.
You see a lot of the movies too, like what was that? The one with the Tyler Perry movie with Blair Underwood, where he, you know,
oh, that's the family reunion, right?
Was it family reunion?
Was it family reunion?
I think so. I think it was one of them, but you know what I'm talking about. And you know, you got so you have that, and it was a dysfunction with that mother. That mother had to have that one love from somebody that was outside of that family. So you brought some element from outside into that family, and you wanted to please that person, which caused chaos within your own family. You know what I mean? That man that she brought into her family, because right then and there her family was her and her 2 daughters. And that man had the things that he brought from his bloodline, he brought into that family, which disrupted that. Now, what that lady was dealing with, that character was dealing with in that movie, she needed that, she needed that love, which could have come from another part in her family. So she was willing to do anything that it took to get the love and acceptance from that man. So that man basically got to her and said, man, you know, this is what I want you to do. So he made her dress her older daughter up and make her older daughter available.
But see, I wouldn't say that her issue wasn't about love. Her issue was about financial security. Her issue was about wanting the money.
What she, you know, what she could do. Thank you. Okay, I stand. That's how I saw it too. And it was that, but that still comes from that behavior. To me, I think that was still something that was passed, that she seen somewhere, and she needed that. What?
I say that's just spiritual warfare. That was just plain greed.
Okay.
That was plain greed. She wanted to have the comforts of
a better life,
modern life.
Yeah.
A comfortable life. She wanted to make sure that she got what she wanted. She wasn't too concerned about how her children were. Well, her daughter was taken care of, because her daughter, because her oldest daughter was not a product of him, you know. So to give your child over to this man that you're married to make sure you have the comforts that you're looking for, the fancy car, the jewelry, the roof over your head, that is outrageous. That movie really pissed me off.
But
excuse my French,
also,
but it pissed me off.
Right? But then that also, you know, that also gave birth to whatever else that daughter would bring into, you know, whatever kind of issues that daughter would bring into. So you have a lot of that to go in. You have a lot of that contributes to the bad ties and the taboo things and stuff like that. So, you know,
that I agree with that.
So, you know, it's a lot of that mixture. So when you talk about, like, before Frederick left, you know, when you sit up and you talk about, like, all the stuff that goes into you know, the family and what we want family to be, it's you know, that's a really big part of it.
I agree. Those generational curses.
That's why sometimes when you go to Thanksgiving dinner and you go to Christmas dinner and stuff, and you're like, man, no, is cousin Juju gonna be there? If Juju gonna be there, I ain't coming, fool. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like if Juju gonna be there, I ain't coming.
That reminds me of the movie Soul Food, because she was all about her family. She was all about she was all about bringing them together, and even her, what was the cousin name?
Faith?
Her. They really didn't want her there. They finding out that she was coming, it was like you knew there was some type of tension there.
Good morning, Shell.
You know, and with her being there, we see the chaos that occurred with that.
Right. Yeah, you know, it was like, and then, you know, you never really knew what the I don't think they ever really told us, like, what the issue was with Cousin Faith. But they was like, oh no, let her stay. She's always running. She's always being pushed away. And you know, everybody in the family has that type of everybody got that cousin. Everybody got that auntie. You know, you see all the Facebook posts and stuff, like when the holidays come around, and you got that one auntie that come to the you know, that one auntie that come to the gathering that want to know where everybody, you know, want to know what everybody up to. You got that one uncle that got the cigarette hanging on the side of his mouth, that's probably finna ask everybody for $20. You know, you got, you know, it's all about, you know, it's all them types of different. Every family has that.
Yeah, every family
has
it. Now, I was reading this article that was saying it wanted to know if it was okay to cut off family members.
Okay.
And a response to it was that roughly 84% of people that cut off those family members that they do not get along with say that they've had better lives doing it. What is your perspective on cutting off family members?
Man, I'm gonna tell you like this. I look at that, just because your family does not mean that you are that. Just because you're family, it doesn't change the fact that you're a human and you are, you know, you capable of anything any of my enemies could do. You can either do more harm or you can do more hurt. So if they behind gotta go, then they behind gotta go. Because you know, a lot of people like to say, you know, blood thicker than water. But what came before, in my perspective, what came before the blood, which was the spirit. The spirit is more potent than the blood, if you ask me, because you know I'm
glad you mentioned that. Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that, because 1 John 4:20. Whoever claims to love God yet hates a brother or sister is a liar. For whoever does not love their brother and sister whom they have seen cannot love God whom they have not seen. So with that scripture right there, if you don't love your family members, how can you say that you are spiritual and love God?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't do the things that I would say not necessary really, but if you don't continue to try to make an effort to mend a relationship, how can you say that you really are this person, this Christian, that you love God? If you can just turn around and walk away and say, I have nothing to do with this person.
Yeah, or the biggest line is, you dead to me. Like, you know
exactly.
what I'm saying? Like you dead to me. And this is another thing. Okay, this is how all of this ties into with your family ties. All right, you got I like I say, look at it this way. You can have this one cousin or this one person that you cousin, the nephew, or whatever the case may be. Y'all might have been tight at one point in time, but something happened to where that bond is broken. But there's a part of, I think that there's a part of a heartbreak there. You know how people sit up and say, man, 15-year friendship or a 6-month friendship gone over this. And it doesn't have to be that way, because somebody can sit up and say, hey, I don't want it to be this way. And this also goes back to that forgiveness episode that we had too, because you have to go back and you have to forgive yourself and stuff, and forgive yourself and forgive them, and then move on. There is a certain hurt that you're going to have, because at one point in time you had a bond with that person, and whatever it is that made y'all break that bond, or what hurt that bond, if you don't mend, it's going to continue to affect you. It goes double with family, because we are raised to believe that your family come first. Dominic Toretto, I said, never turn your back on family. You know what I'm saying? It's like, Vince did some stuff, but he never if y'all ever watch Fast and Furious, and then Vince did some things, but Dominic Toretto was like always forgiving. He forgave. He was mad, but he forgave. And what happened?
See, it's all right to be mad. It's all right to be happy. To get upset.
Yeah. But you have to have that. You have to have that maturity, and you have to have that mindset to where it says, we also, as people that follow the will, that believe in the all, that read scripture, trouble don't last always. Just like if trouble's gonna pass away, and you have to know, you have your periods of anger, you have your periods of pain, but they all pass away. And with that being said, what are you gonna do after it passes? You know what I'm saying? Like, do you go back to the person? You have one or two choices. Do you go back to that person and you go back to that person and you mend it, or do you go back to that person and or you don't go back to that person and you just let it stay the same, and you just let whatever happened keep festering and festering and festering? Because eventually, let's say you have it to where you and that cousin are like this. That cousin has a child, and you don't get as close to that child.
Your child, their children growing up,
you don't get to see them growing up like that, and then you come around and you start trying to tell stories about how you and that parent were, and all of this and this and that, and they're gonna be looking at you like, I ain't never seen you really a day in my life, and my daddy like that, but you never came around, and you never this. So when you get into the tunes and talking about family ties, man, like it's always better to make attempts to mend and kill those generational curses, or even them family feuds, because those are harmful. Yeah, it's because those are harmful. Like, I'm gonna tell you like this: my family is big. We are legion. Like, my dad's side of my family, it's important that we have a family reunion almost every year, because you can be out in this bed. Like, my family on my dad's side spans from East Texas. I got family in California. I got family in Colorado. I got family everywhere. So it's important that we have family reunions as much as we can, so we can know who we are. I can go to Fresno, California, meet somebody out there, and talk to them, and ask where they family. And if it's a woman, I never know. I might be dating one of my cousins or something. So it's important to know who it is.
same thing with mine, a large family. And we have 2 comments here. Okay, so Rochelle says, God is love. He loves us unconditionally. And I believe we need to remember that when it comes to family and wanting to burn bridges. As God loves us, we should do our best to love family unconditionally. Even though you may have personal issues with a member, we have to remember and practice the art of forgiveness. You're right. And that's what we're saying. I mean, we're not saying that there are, okay, so let's be honest here. There are some things that cut deep that happen in families. They cut deep. And it's going to be a lot more than, it's going to take a whole lot more than I'm sorry to get past things and patch things up. It's got to be a mature person that is willing to go through those trenches and, let's just say, glow up, to say, okay, I forgive you. Things may not be the same as they were, but we can work on something. We can work on mending this. Eduardo says, infidelity, lying, cheating, stealing, and all subjects that make a difference in family functions.
Ooh, that goes back to the cousin Faith. That goes right back to that cousin Faith and soul food. That's it, because
it hurts, it cuts deep, but somebody has to be mature enough to say, dude, you flopped up. You flopped up, and it's going to take me for a minute to get over it. You know, I'm not saying you have to kiss my behind or anything, but it's going to take me a minute. Because, and you have to understand, it's not going to go back to the way it was. And this is where we start saying, this is where you deal with a person with a, that 50 feet between you. You know, you can't give them that all like you once did.
But you know what?
But
this is, what I want to say on that. There's 2 ways, and it goes back to what I guess it goes back to what I just got done saying. When people sit up and tell you stuff like you have a falling out with a family member, and they're like, it'll never be the same. It'll never be the same. Okay, that's true. 9/11, when the Twin Towers went through what it went through, it was never the same. But what did they choose to do? They chose to rebuild it. So it wasn't the same. It still had its scars. So it's there. What did I survive? You know what I'm saying? Those towers were a testament of saying, hey, what was once destroyed, you never get it back. But we can build this back up so that it can be a testament of what I went through. I have a cousin, and I have a cousin, and this was like one of my best friends. And me and him, we done been through a lot of stuff too. Just like them Twin Towers, at one point in time, some stuff got destroyed. But once we got to where we rebuilt what it was never the same. But we can look back and say, man, we've been through some stuff together. And you can either you make the choice. It can either be, you can either leave it broken, or you can build it up, and it can be stronger than what it was. Like, it'll never be the same does not necessarily mean that it has to be finished, that it has to be done. And so you have to get to a point to where you actually talk about the things that hurt you. You have to talk about the things that people say that is taboo. You have to get those things out, because it's just like eating bad food. You eat something that don't agree with your stomach, give it about 2 hours later, and it's gonna be, your stomach gonna start talking. And the more and more you keep it in, the more damage you do on the inside. And eventually you're gonna wind up regurgitating and getting that out. It's gonna be ugly. But hey, good thing about it is I can clean this floor. You know what I'm saying? I can clean it, but guess what happened? It got out. Now it doesn't hurt me anymore. Now it won't hurt us anymore. What was that? There was another movie. Oh, the movie with Loretta Devine.
Which one?
It was one movie with Loretta Devine where they were all at the table. The guy that played Kenny in Soul Food, the movie, not the movie. The guy that played, he was one of the sons. And Loretta Devine had this big deal, this big dinner or whatever. And at the dinner, like, everybody was letting out secrets. Like, all the secrets started coming out in the movie. And at the end of that dinner, it was like, oh, now everything is peaceful now. Because guess what? Everybody regurgitated that bad food that didn't agree with their stomach. And then they cleaned it up.
That sounds almost like Why Did I Get Married? But I know she wasn't in there. But that sounds like what happened.
I mean, I could have used that one too, but this one was like, it had more of an impact that one had more of an impact than Why Did I Get Married? Because I think like one of the sons, he wound up coming out and telling them that he was actually gay, and the other daughter was saying something about like she was broke and she looked like she was rich and all of that. And then the two, like the brother and I think it was another two sisters that revealed why they don't like each other, but everybody thought that they were cool. And this is why I don't like you, and this is why I don't like you. And Loretta Devine heart was like all over the table because she thought her family was like functional, like everybody was good. And then so you got like all of that, and then of course she had hers, and of course she had her qualms, but that was that's the matriarch, what I'm saying? So he really ain't finna say too much. But that also comes from past, like all of the different things. We don't know exactly what our parents went through and what different bloodlines. So when we go to the point about the bloodlines under one roof, you got to think about our parents what everybody's parents were dealing with at that time as well. Because your bloodline, I mean, I also believe too, like everybody's bloodline is tainted down some way, form, or fashion, because look at the history. Look at the history of the country and how people used to, well, the history of the world. Look at the history of the world or how people used to interact and deal with people. You don't know what goes around. You could have all different types of bad things happen to folks, and different things are birthed by really, birthed by acts of wickedness. So when you talk about bloodlines under one roof, you got different
Not
traumas and
only
different
that,
things of that.
yeah, different traumas
Yeah,
that come
you
along
got
with that,
different traumas. So you don't talk about these things that if you don't talk about these things that we were told that were taboo, then you're not breaking generational
I
curses.
think that's like I said, that's most of the issues in families, because they don't want to talk about things.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to face the things. They just feel as though if you bury it, we'll
Yeah,
just get
if you
past it.
bury it, then we'll get past it.
That's not the case. You can't solve a problem just by acting like it's not there.
Mm-hmm. That's why
It's
so
gonna
many
it's gonna continue to creep up. It's going to continue to stress you out, stress others around. And see, and I keep looking at this comment with the infidelity, the lying, cheating, and stealing. If you don't sit up and face these things, somebody has to be mature enough to decide to sit down and, okay, it's time for us to have a talk. Like
we got to get this out.
it's going to hurt. Don't think that because it's there, like I said, ignoring it, that it's going to go away, that you're going to start feeling better. No, it's going to hurt. And in order to get better, you're going to have to hurt.
It has to heal if it's to hurt. You know what I'm saying? You gotta hurt. It gotta. Yeah, I mean, it has to hurt if it's to heal. That's what I meant to say. Y'all, you get me.
Yeah,
But
it's gotta hurt. It's going
I'm
to.
gonna say this too, because I mean, the history of what we've been taught, it really affects us as a. If it affects us as a demographic, like the black family. It really affects the black family a lot, and it's
Very
not.
prone to saying, don't tell people our business,
Yeah,
don't talk about it,
but yeah.
all kinds of
So
things.
when you talk about, I mean, we gotta have this little history lesson, and I'm gonna use this example, because like my mother, she was born in the 50s. My mother's from the 50s, so you go back to my grandmother, my great grandfather, and everything. One of the stories that my grandmother told me, I mean, my mother told me, was about how some people were treated. Like you could sit up and have a whole lot of that color purple type stuff. But you can have a lot of this thing. You can have a lot of these things too. Uh, the woman that cleaned the house, the woman that cleaned the house for, I ain't gonna say the master, because
Yeah,
they really wasn't like it, but the maid, you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? But like, let's say she cleaned the house. And that was her job. And she had a husband at her own house. But the man of that house that she cleaned or whatever wanted to take advantage of that situation. Because my mother was like, back then they had it to where it was like, if that man wanted that woman, he could go get that woman and nobody could say anything. So like, you could be out on your porch, the man could be out on his porch, and that other guy could drive up and ask if your wife is in the house, and ask you, he'd be like, yeah, she in there. He go in there and he get what he need to get, and let's just say baby come out of that. That you go mixing them bloodlines. It happens. Stuff like that happen. You know what I'm saying? So having multiple bloodlines mixed a lot of different things, and a lot of things didn't go unsaid. So some things got lost, and now you wonder, why is my family so in much disarray? You know what I'm saying? And why are these
because
secrets?
of those secrets.
Because of those secrets.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You have these family ties, and you wonder why. Like, you might have this one. Is this grandmother, and the grandmother might have resentment for some things that happened to her. Okay. And she holds a lot of things in. So you marry this woman. So let's say I marry this woman, and this woman's she was mixed. You know, she's mixed with black and white, and I'm black, of course. I have a daughter by her. Oh, I'll just say I'll keep it as the grandmother. So this would be my grandmother. So my daughter is my daughter would be her great granddaughter.
Yeah.
All right. So the woman that I'm with, let's say she's mixed. And so when my daughter comes out and my daughter gets older, her hair her hair takes on that part. So it's not like woolly, it's long and straight, and she sees it. So that my daughter might get treated different by her great grandmother, because she'll see in some things, she'll see the similarities and the features of those that hurt her when she was coming up, and it wouldn't be my daughter's fault. So my daughter would always grow up wondering, why do you treat me like this? Why do you not like me? And then why this, and that? And if no one says anything, then that's gonna keep continuing, and you'd be like, that my grandmother might be the sweetest. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't talk about these things, then your family ties might be your family, but it's some knots that you really won't be able to get out. That you just have some knots you can't get out, and you just gotta cut.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
That goes to what FD always saying about cutting slings and cutting people off. Like I stated in the beginning of the show, there are at least 84% of the population that says that they have cut off family members for a better life of themselves. So, which, like I said, I can understand that, but that's only when, like we're saying, if you're not facing the reality of what occurred, not pulling those band-aids back and letting that wound heal.
Yep.
So if something of that nature, okay, with something of that nature, I can get it, but I would say let that be the last resort.
Shell says darkness always comes to light. That's the truth. You can't stress that enough, man.
You really can't.
You can't stress that enough. I've had many people say, no, it doesn't. I've had some people say, oh, no, it don't. Oh, I can get away with it. But it's going to eventually, somebody, down the line, somebody going to get tired. You know, somebody's going to get tired. Somebody's going to say, I don't want to feel like this anymore. I don't want this to happen. And I know, like, you can sit up there and say, like you might have it to where you got some people that have had, let's say Papa was a Rolling Stone, you know what I'm saying? And he got like 9 kids, and you just not finding out, you got like 3 more brothers and sisters. And then the oldest of that clan is gonna know most of the secrets. So knowing that father or that mother, sometimes more, sadly to say, and unfortunately it's usually their father, they keep a lot of that, they try to keep distance between those children for fears that secrets are going to get out. The truth is going to come out. You know what I'm saying? So it's important that when you have your ties in your family, those ties that bind, it's important to try to unravel and untangle a lot of those knots, because how can you go forward? You know what happens when a knot happens? If you get a knot in your shoestring, you can't really tie that shoe up the way you need it to be tied up. So if you got a knot or a kink in your hose and you're trying to flow water, let's say that water is like that life, and you're trying to flow life through the rest of that hose to get to where it needs to get to nurture. You got a knot in there, that water can't, that life can't flow to it like the way it needs to be. It's going to be cut off. Something's going to have it to where, and what happens whenever something doesn't get circulation? It becomes dead, and you got to sever it. You got to cut it off. So those knots, those generational curses, them secrets, that whole, and I never like that saying that, oh, I'm gonna take it to my grave. You know how much damage you do? You know how much damage you do to your family when you take stuff to the grave? Like,
because no one can get any answers. When you start digging that stuff up and you try to piece it together, no one can get answers, because those that have the information decided it's not important.
Yeah. Oh, it's not important. It's not going to affect you.
Yeah, it don't need to be discussed.
Then you wonder why. And once again, we'll go back to where now you wonder why. You wonder why. You know, the little one is wondering why she's treated different. Why she don't look like the rest of her family. Oh, y'all failed to tell her she was adopted. And, or you failed to tell her that the woman that you've been telling her was her niece was actually her aunt. You failed to tell her that the woman that she grew up calling her aunt is really her mother. You know? And yeah, so you know, kind of that type of stuff. So when you hit, so once again, multiple bloodlines under one roof. You keeping it in the family, but the order of the family, and it's important to know. You know, it's important to know your role and your position in the family. It's important to know where you came from, because
when stuff like this come out, when it finally comes out, that devastation hits real hard, and that's when some people want to just throw their hands up and walk away.
Of course.
Okay, because I can't believe they lied to me all these years. I can't believe
your world gets shattered, and it's like your world gets shattered because it's like everything you believed was a lie. Yeah. So you gonna have that resentment, and once again, we'll go back to what I said. That trouble and that pain, it only lasts for a short while, but within that time, you're going through all these things. So things are gonna be said, things are gonna be done. You might throw some furniture across the room and break some glasses and throw out a couple of "I hate yous," and it'll never be the same. Once you said those things and put those things out there, you know what I'm saying? It's going to do its percentage of damage. But it's gonna do its percentage of damage. But once that leaves, and then you face, after all that pain and stuff is gone, and you calm down, and yeah, you know what I'm saying.
You have to.
You come back from you come back. You go get you a fresh outfit after you done came back from turning green, and you done went back to normal size. You know what I'm saying. After you do that, then it's like, okay, I got one or two choices. I can go back and try to help clean this stuff up, or I can just say I can just stay mad and just harbor this and have this for the rest of my life and hold in. So then when you start having kids, you have kids of your own, and
they want to know,
they out and they meet these and they meet these other cousins and whatever, and then they sit up and tell you, I don't like them, and you just like, I just met them, how you don't like them? But you're not telling these secrets, and you're not telling them why. And then now they just like, okay, I guess it's the way the world goes. It's the way the world works.
I can't stand that explanation. I don't like that explanation. This is how the world works. That's just what happens in the world. That's just how people are. I don't like those explanations, because there's a deep-rooted reason as to why that feeling is there. That Eduardo has a comment. Okay. Every generation we have a couple of redheads in the family. Great grandma knows why, and that's what we're saying. That's exactly what we're saying. Yeah. You know, you can look at your family and see, this person don't look like the rest of the family. This person don't act like the rest of the family. There is something there that's not being told. There is a secret there.
There's a secret. Yeah.
It really is.
Why do you think? And okay, y'all already know. Okay, we're 35 minutes. We're at 10:35, so we got
time.
Minutes. Okay, so a lot of people, there's a reason for everything. Bottom line is we are all connected. Like I said at the beginning of the show, blood is thicker than water, but the spirit came before the blood. You know, you had them kindred spirits, so we all connected. So if you believe in the higher power of one creator that created all, you also have to believe that we are all connected. So, but organically, why do you think people that come from you, like you look like your mother, you look like your father, you look like you belong to a certain clan? That's your brand. You know what I'm saying? So whenever you sit up and one person doesn't really look, they don't fit the brand, or they don't look like that, you got to understand
what they call the black sheep.
Yeah, they call the black sheep. And you have to take into account that there's going to be questions. And those questions will be answered. Like they will be. I don't care. Like the comment that Shell put. What happens, the darkness always comes to the light. Somebody's going to find out they was adopted. And somebody's going to find out maybe that they were, maybe that this your parent that we said that was your auntie that we said was your auntie was really your parent. And this, I also believe too that most people can't begin to be whole until they, well, that's a dead ringer. You can't begin to be whole. You can't begin to be whole unless you know yourself. You have to know yourself. So you can't begin to get whole. So I get mad when people know things and they try to keep them away from. I get mad when people know things and you keeping me away from being who I need to be.
Yep.
I might have certain habits and I don't like these habits. If I might not like these habits, and how am I supposed to know how to fix it if I don't know where the habits came from? And I got to take this here to a little Star Wars real quick. Luke Skywalker didn't know. Luke Skywalker had always had the affinity to build things, to be a pilot, to be outgoing and want to go see the universe and everything. And Uncle Owen was always the one that, because Uncle Owen was the one that raised Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, they raised Luke Skywalker. So Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen, they knew who Luke Skywalker's father was. They knew who Anakin Skywalker was. They didn't tell him who Anakin Skywalker was because they felt that they were protecting him. But what was in him was coming out. He was adventurous. He was a pilot, and he had something about him. And then when Obi-Wan showed up, Obi-Wan chance encounter thing showed up. It led him right to Luke, and that blew the covers off of everything.
So what about that? It's not my secret to tell.
It is.
Somebody knows. Somebody knows the truth of whatever situation, and look at you every day, every other day, or every holiday, and don't tell you because they believe it's not their secret to tell.
It's not your, okay, if it's not your secret to tell, then go to the person that, if they're still around, you need to go to that person and be on their behind and be like, hey, you need to get this off your chest. If you don't want me to say nothing, then you need to get this off your chest. You know what I'm saying? So you'll wind up, or it's gonna wind up being the same way with the whole Luke Skywalker thing. Guess what? Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen died trying to keep a secret. Had they let homeboy go and do what he wanted to do and get off that planet and stop trying to hide stuff from him because you don't want him to go down the same path his father went down, or you thought you were protecting, you probably would have still been alive, and you probably would have, he still wound up being everything that you didn't want him to be anyway. Only thing about it is you died.
Now, I heard a lot coming up that bringing things of this nature up was a starting mess. If you're, and did you hear me clearly? Starting mess.
Starting mess, like when we like to sit up and say, yeah, like, okay, you just being messy. No, they're not just being messy. They're not being messy. They just tired of the deception, or they're just tired of things going unsaid. No, tell that baby the truth. No, tell them the truth. It's time. That might be affecting that person, that family member that said, tell that baby the truth. It might be something affecting them, and that they might not be able to get past or break through this until this is done. Like, how many times have you seen somebody hurt over and over and over again, and it's not over and over and over again? And I guess one thing when people say that it's not my secret to tell is, if I tell it to you, you won't believe me if I said it. I love you now. If I put something in your head to make you wonder, I don't want to damage that love that I have for you. I'd rather you hear it from the person that really did this to you, because number one, it's going to be that much more potent, and they'll have more of an explanation, So, but if I go around, I got a nephew, and I'm really, really tired of seeing him being treated this way, or I'm really being tired of him not getting the answers that he needs to ask why he might have this habit. And yeah, I might be like, nah, it's time for this truth to come out. You need to go ahead and say something.
That's true, Eduardo. Some secrets do go to the grave and stay unsaid. But let's think about this. What's the word? What am I looking for? The DNA testing and everything that has come up that became real strong. These are how some secrets ended up coming out. People taking these tests wanted to know their ancestry and finding out that they are related to someone that they didn't know they were related to. I saw an episode on a talk show where this woman did her ancestry test and found out that she was black, but she had been living her life as though she was white, because that's a decision that her mother made for her. Felt as though she would have a better life because she was a lighter skin, so she felt like she would live her life as a white woman. And for her daughter, to find out many years down the line that she's actually black after she done lived a false life as a white woman. That's why we're saying it's best for those things to come out in the beginning, because as we stated, your whole life is going to be shattered when it comes out. It's going to come out eventually.
But how it comes out is up to you. Do you want me? Do you like coming into maturity, coming into my maturity? I had to learn you can't be over here trying to save your own bacon by not saying things or like bending the truth and all this. Like I had to learn. Like I would much rather you be mad at me now because I told you an inconvenient truth versus you find out the truth on your own and I could have told you that and you hate me and you don't respect me at all.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I mean, it's just, like I said, it's just like surgery. I mean, it's gonna hurt.
It's gonna
hurt.
But
you kind of need it. But it's gonna hurt, but you kind of need it. But I'd rather be able to hold you while you take the shot. So before the anesthetic kick in, I'd rather be able to hold you and let you know that I love you and I'm not doing this to hurt you. I'm not telling you this to hurt you. I'm telling you this so we can clear the air and we can, you can go ahead, go to sleep, let the doctor do what they do, remove this and the healing can begin. And when you wake up and you recover, by the time you recover, you're so much better for it. Our relationship can be a whole lot better because now you know that I'm going to be the type of person that's going to tell you what you need to know, even if it hurts you. And I believe in more
now, some of these secrets bring shame. A lot of people feel shameful behind these actions that they've done, so they try to bury it as well for that reason, because of the shame. Now that's understood. What?
Go ahead.
That's understood. You may feel a little shame, a little guilt. Don't believe that you made that decision, did that act, but at the end of the day, clearing the air would be better for those people that deserve to know this truth. It'll be better for them as well, because it'll allow them a healing. It'll allow them a healing that they never knew that they really needed healed. Everyone have those demons at night kicking those doors. Remember I'm here. Remember I'm here. I'm still here. We all deal with that. There's something that you've done in life that you may feel shameful for, and you think by burying it, you'll get over it. That it's not going to work that way.
I'm still learning. I'm still learning secrets within my own clan. You know what I'm saying? But to go off of what it is, what you're saying, that's exactly why it's important for in a family, man, that you love one another. Because because what might be shameful to you, it's still on the inside and it's still bothering you. You would be surprised that if you go to people and you talk to them about that, or if you go to the right one and talk to them about it, you might find out that it really wasn't your fault. That you might find out that this one, when you did this, it really wasn't your fault. Or you might see something that was in it was a movie that did this too, where it was like a suppressed memory where, okay, I'll take it. We'll go to Lion King. Lion King, Simba thought he's the one that was he thought he was responsible for Mufasa's death. He thought that it was, so him running away and taking on Hakuna Matata was him shame. I'm supposed to be the king of Pride Rock. How can I face anybody after what I've done? When you realize it really wasn't your fault. So then again, we'll use that. But then, we do know that, and I don't like to really bring it up because it's a touchy subject for some people. And I don't know who's it happened to or who it hasn't happened to. So please forgive me if I open a wound or whatever. Like molestation. You know, that goes on a lot in a lot of different families. And people harbor that and they are ashamed about that because number one, it's like if I say something, will it disrupt the family? If I say something, who's gonna believe me? And I'm ashamed that I walked around with this all the while. And it's hard to talk about it. But if you do talk about it, if you do go around and get to the people that's willing to help you get over that, you just might feel like, hey, I don't have to harbor this anymore. I don't have to be ashamed about this anymore. Why do you feel ashamed? They might feel ashamed because, you know, after a while growing up and being real promiscuous or whatever, and not knowing why they're like that, and why they feel a certain way. I'm supposed to be doing this. I'm ashamed, and then this, and you figure out what happened to you. And some people could, some of your family can be therapeutic, and some of them can be harmful. But if you get around the people that love you and they tell you what you need to know and how to deal with certain things, it can, and if they do it the right way, there's your therapy right there.
Mm-hmm.
And and you can put that stuff to rest. But it all comes from people being what people tell you that that they're not. What I mean by that is who's gonna do that? You've ever heard that? Like, who do you know does that? Like, no one's gonna do that. Basically saying no one's gonna tell you the truth. No one's gonna come forward and say, hey, I hurt you and I want to make this right. And when I hear that, I'll be like, that's not necessarily true. You have a lot of people that won't, but you also have people that'll say, you know what?
Maturity, and it's about growing up and facing
it's
your
about
own
growing
demons.
up and facing your own demons and saying, you know what, I hurt this person. And some people I'll be like, you know what, I gotta face this. I know that if you know that consequences come with them actions and you're ready to be free, we had a show about that, and you know you're ready to be free and do that, then it's like, okay, man, I gotta go ahead and take this punishment because I can't continue to see this happen anymore. It's a pricking of your heart. Your heart just got your heart just got unhardened, and now you ain't selfish no more. You want to clean up what you messed up. It's a song about that.
Yeah, Rochelle said she's messing with me about Lion King Mufasa. the scene wherever the hyenas, Mufasa.
Do it again.
Do it again. Do it again.
Do it again.
But no, seriously, you're right. There are some people out there that have done shameful acts that finally get to a point in life where they own up to those actions and go to attempt to make amends. Now, we're not saying that it's always going to be easy. You're going to have people out there that's going to continue, that's still hurt and angry, and they're going to lash out. Expect it.
Mm-hmm.
There are people out there that, and that's with any shameful act. Let's get that understood. It's not just we're not focusing on what you brought up.
Yeah, we ain't focusing on that. There's many shameful acts.
Acts out there. It could be something, as Eduardo stated earlier, infidelity. I stepped out, had a baby, and these type of issues. The lying and the cheating. I want to look at that lying because that lying is a broad spectrum there. They break it down as in white lies, little lies. Lying is going.
It's still a lie. Like bending the truth. Like bending the truth. I mean, it's still a lie. We have to say and start learning how to deal and move in absolution because you don't want to have it to where it's like it's either it is or it ain't. It's either it's a truth or it's a lie. A fib. That's just a cute way of calling. That's a cute name, a nickname for a lie. You know what I'm saying? And it reveals different things about people.
It does. All right, now we got 10 minutes to the show end. Want to hit some bullet points real quick because this was a very deep topic. It really is.
I mean, we came up with this because it's like the holidays and 2020 been one of them where you really couldn't get with your loved ones like you wanted to because of that which shall not be named is going on, so I ain't giving no more energy to that no more. So it's like it had it makes you think and reflect how many times you got to you came across something and different family events, Christmases sometimes can get ruined because somebody,
one of them
family members might have had, they missing, not showing up, or one of them then had enough. Hey, if they come at me wrong, I'm just gonna let the cat out the bag. If they say this and this, man, I promise you, if they ask me to go to the store one more time, and this, you know what I'm saying? You just never know. But it's good. But we came up with that topic, man, because family around this time of year is like what usually happens. So it's the family ties and what, the dysfunctions and the functions of a family, and how is it important to get things out, and how it's important to work on those generational curses, man, because you can't.
So Eduardo says that the truth will set you free sometimes.
He said it'll set you free sometimes.
I disagree. It'll set you free all the time. Now, and I say that because what we're focusing on here is your individual, what's the word I'm looking for? Your individual freedom. Freedom. Your individual freedom. That's mentally, emotionally, even physically in some situations, but mentally and emotionally, because these family gatherings, you will see that there are some people there that are uptight, tense, can't wait for dinner time so I can go ahead and go get my plate and leave, or somebody done walked through the door, dang, it's that time I need to go. They done showed up, if you know the truth of why you feel that way, what actually occurred, whatever secret it is that's hidden, knowing this I would say will better equip you to deal. So
and it helps you.
I think the truth will set you free, period, all the time.
Because it helps you know yourself. Like, it'll help you know yourself. Well, I'll go back again real briefly. I'll go back again with having some habits that you don't know where it came from, and then you finally find out that one of your family members, or you finally find out who your real parents are, and then you actually able to go back and look at what type of tribe they are, what kind of clan they are, and then that'll help explain to you why you have these types of habits, and why you're able to, now you know how to combat it. At least it'll make you feel better about yourself once you know the truth.
Rochelle says the truth will set you free, but how you handle that truth is the part that leads you back to the business of being grown. And that's it in a nutshell. That's it in a nutshell.
You asked for a bullet point. That was a buckshot.
Thank you, Eduardo. You have a nice day as well. I'm glad you enjoyed this convo. Join us again next Sunday, again at 10 a.m. Be happy to see you.
Likewise.
Enjoy your Sunday. Love you.